See your local GMC dealer.
Now, your first alert weather. Tracking Helene.
Welcome back with us here at Live 5 News on this Thursday afternoon. Really an active evening coming up for the low country. This is why we have our first alert weather days throughout the rest of the evening, early Friday morning. Joey and Dorian talked about this earlier on today. Bill and I have been tracking things through the afternoon, and we'll continue to really stay glued on that radar as we have the potential for some tornadoes late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Also a wind threat, so damaging wind, a possibility. If you have anything left out, side that you still haven't gathered up and pinned down, brought inside, do it now. Heavy rainfall, a possibility, but really the system is moving so quickly. Thankfully, we're not expecting too much in the way of flooding. Could see a little bit of onshore flow with some coastal flooding. You can really see the direction of that airflow up along our coastline. But as of right now, tropical satellite imagery, I mentioned this just a few moments ago, but what we're seeing now with the eye, it's kind of becoming very well defined as it approaches that Big Bend area. We saw a little bit of an elongated eye wall maybe an hour or two ago. Things kind of vamping up as it moves closer to the coastline of the Big Bend, and that is where we are expecting that landfall later on this evening. Maximum sustained wind speed 125, so that means we're at a category 3. Once we get above 129, it's category 4. So still a strong high-end category 3 hurricane barreling toward the Big Bend area of Florida there, making landfall, moving into Georgia. But you can see, even though we're not in the cone, we're in this big bubble. That is the wind field, the radius of which those winds stretch out, which is why we're taking this very seriously overnight into early tomorrow. Once again, damaging wind, that tornado threat, the main issues with this storm system. We'll have to keep an eye on our high tides as well with that coastal flooding issue. Wind gusts, check it out. Strong wind on the way. Don't be surprised if you wake up in the middle of the night tonight and hear the wind outside of the house. You know what I mean if you've been through any sort of tropical weather. It's that noise where you can almost just hear that system moving on through. But into Moncks Corner, 52 miles per hour, 59. Into Charleston, very strong gusty wind, even by 7 a.m. Mentioned earlier, just imagine driving on a bridge or an overpass during those hours. Not a good idea. Best idea, just stay in and hunker down as we continue to track this system. Tornado outlook, even higher than what we had forecasted yesterday. And we've already seen a few warnings across the area, possibly even some tornadic activity into Bamberg, Colleton, and Orangeburg. This is why we're really keeping our eyes glued to the radar overnight. 10% chance there of that tornadic activity. That will continue overnight into early tomorrow morning. So let's track out Helene as it makes its landfall this evening. Most likely happening anywhere between 10, 11, midnight tonight. And look at the eye wall. This is just one of many models that we use to forecast our systems here, but you can see we're in that northeastern quadrant of Helene. What does that mean? High chance for tornadic cells. So once again, that's really bringing in and driving in that tornadic activity potential. By 7 a.m., we'll definitely start to see some dry pockets of air filter in, and before you know it, lunchtime, looking dry. Definitely windy. The wind is going to stick around. Tropical storm warning still in effect for the entire state of South Carolina. You can see we still have those hurricane warnings into parts of Georgia, also into Florida there, where we're expecting that landfall. And this just gives you a different perspective of Helene. This is actually visible satellite imagery. You can see how far and wide those clouds really extend from the system, covering almost the entirety of the southeastern U.S. And in terms of actual moisture, you can see what's going on here as we kind of look and see the setup of Helene down to the south. Once again, still has a ways to go before it makes landfall later on this evening along the Big Bend. But look at the red boxes here. That's the tornadic activity that we're possibly going to see overnight into early tomorrow morning. These are storm reports that we've seen so far. Like I mentioned, already seeing a few reports of some possible spin-up activity earlier on today in parts of Orangeburg and even Beaufort County there. So we'll keep an eye on things through the night. Expect to see this view for the next few hours, even through tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now, we're pretty cool actually. We're in the 70s. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit. No major issues with wind at the moment, but once again, you still have a little bit of time if you need to bring in those lawn chairs, pin things down. Definitely want to stay with us overnight into tomorrow morning. Of course, have that Live 5 weather app. We're always giving you updates there. Into the weekend, we're drying out. Things improving for the weekend actually, once again as early as tomorrow.